This week on the Touch of Love Cannabis podcast.
I love a good soda water. There's a lot of genetics that just will never see the light of the day, just because they don't test over 25%. If you're just shopping based on THC and price, like, you're not gonna have a good time. Because if everyone just plummets their prices down, like, that's gonna kill the premium category, and then like we're stuck with all this like cheap weed. I gave her an ashtray, a Carmel branded ashtray, and she started like tearing up in the store, and I was like, oh shit, this brand has a lot of power behind it. Like, I'm seeing this more and more with like a lot of the like super heady guys. They're going back to the black market now. I was at the facility a year and a half ago. Our UPS driver drops off a box. I like pick the box up from him. He's like, are you guys hiring? I'm like, maybe, we might be. 2 weeks later, he's working at the facility.
Ain't got no one that back calling me splurge. Ride me jump right off the curb. Bentley spray fly like a bird. Spin on the first and the third. Solid, I'm keeping my word. Can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard.
13 of the Touch of Love Cannabis podcast. It's your boy Sean. I'm here with the notorious Eastside Johnny from Carmel. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. Good. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate you making the trek to me. That's sick.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me down here. We got you in the building. You technically have me in your building, but
yeah,
this is such a nice, cozy spot, a little vibe. So we just thought we'd just talk a little bit, talk some cannabis, talk some life, talk about the summer for Carmel.
For sure.
So yeah, let's get right into it, man.
Things are gearing up, man. It's we're the whole team's stressed, but it's good stress.
Yeah. It's good to be stressed, bro. Yeah, that fire on your ass, you got to get going, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sick. Bro, before we get into anything, why cannabis?
Sick. So, I've been on a crazy cannabis journey. Like, I started recreationally smoking cannabis when I was like really young, actually. Like grade 7 was when I started. So like 12 years old, smoked for the first time.
Holy shit.
So yeah, I've been like, I'm 30 now. I'm turning 30 this year. So almost like 18 years of smoking weed. So it's been a long journey, and like my relationship with it has evolved throughout, but it's put me in some like ridiculous situations and then some great ones. And then like 3 years ago, so when cannabis was first legalized, I had a couple buddies who moved in it too right off the jump. I was a little worried about job security at the time. I was pretty happy where I was. I was working in sales at a brewery. Like, we had a really good team, good environment. So I wanted to wait a bit to see if this was actually, like, when it first happened, I was like, I don't know if this is actually going to last, like, what's going to go on. So I gave it a bit. But after I had enough buddies in it, who were just like, come over, man, I got a good opportunity. And like, I had to jump over. Like, I love cannabis. I've been an avid consumer for forever. And it's like definitely a part of my life and lifestyle. And I think there's a lot of benefits to it. And coming from working in alcohol for a long time, like, I was getting pretty tired of having to drink all the time. And when you're going to these events, you're drinking quite a bit always. And like, I was pretty down to, go to like a healthier, even though it's still, you're still smoking, like, it's definitely, I think, a healthier outlet. And sure. It's been sick to be over on this side.
So who were the first kind of people that were to pull you in? Like, what did you do?
So I was working at a brewery called Collective Arts Brewing at the time, like a pretty big craft brewery in Hamilton. And I saw a position come up at this company called Alethea, which is now known as like Sunday Market is the brand now. And then Rich, who's the sales manager there, awesome dude. He came from the beer background as well, and he had like a Toronto position open, and I had a couple of contacts that knew him, and I just reached out to him on LinkedIn, like talked to him a bit, and like I got the offer, and I was stoked. Like, it was it's something I wanted to do for a long time, just like the right position hadn't came out, and then that came out, and I was repping Alethea, which the brand was Symbol at the time. So I started selling that in the GTA East territory, and so that's how I started out in cannabis, but just mutual connections from beer, essentially.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah. Rich is a good guy, man.
Yeah, he's good shit. I'm still like, those guys are all family, so it's sweet getting to see them at events and stuff all the time. I see Rich all the time. I was just out in Ottawa last week. He was out there, so it's nice to keep it tight still.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. That's the thing about this cannabis industry. I think, like, no matter what you do, everyone just wants to be like social and just like talk about it, bro. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's a rare thing to happen in an industry, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So what was like the first thing that you were doing when you joined these guys? What was your role?
Yeah, so I was GTA East sales manager, so pretty crazy, because that was like 3 years ago. So we had probably like 400 to 400 cannabis stores at the time, retail locations, and this was when, right as I joined, was when like it was just still during COVID, so we were in lockdown, but the boom of the stores was happening. So like every week you'd have 20 to 30 new stores popping up. So we were just targeting all the new stores, and we were in lockdown, so you actually weren't supposed to be going to visit retailers like you're supposed to be, but we would get creative with ways of like how to see retailers still. And like if you knew, if someone was the homie, you could still go like through the back door and go like, I would literally go through back doors of shops just to like talk to people, because you weren't even supposed to be like out in so it was pretty crazy time to start. And so I probably started with like 120 accounts or something I was looking after. So really good way to like get into it. And we had a pretty big portfolio. Like we sold vapes, oils, flour, everything. So it was definitely, a bit more of like mass produced, like bigger greenhouse, outdoor flour. So it kind of started off, moving that product with them. And about like 4 months in, we launched the Sunday Market brand. So that was a cool opportunity. So we got to, we just had Symbol when I started, which was like a bit of more, it wasn't even a brand, I'd say. It was just, they had a color and had a name. And then they had a product line that was from their medical side that they brought onto the rec market.
Okay.
But then Trish Lackey, who's like super talented, the head of marketing there, came in and created like 4 brands like within a really short span, and that was Sunday Market. So we launched that into Ontario, which was cool experience.
Sick.
Yeah, it was full throttle, which was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're put right into it, bro. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Full steam.
Yeah, and like before that, I was like a territory rep. I'd been managing accounts in Toronto for forever. So it was a very similar role, but it was just totally different product, totally different industry. So it was cool to get to learn like right off the bat there. Yeah, Rich definitely like took me under his wing a bit and taught me a lot. So big shout out to him for doing all that. But no, it was a cool experience for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rich is the homie.
Yeah.
How long you been out in Toronto for then?
I grew up in Toronto my whole life. Okay. Like I lived in Guelph for like 5 years when I went to university. But other than that, I've lived like Toronto's been home for forever.
Okay.
Yeah. Like born and raised here. So
that's
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
just around this area, you like?
No, I grew up in like North York area, like Yonge and Lawrence area. So
Okay.
I've been living in this kind of neck of the woods for like the past like 4 years, probably.
Did you get high the first time you smoked?
No, man. So the first time I got high, grade 7. So I went to this massive middle school in Toronto. So it was just only grade 7 and 8, and there was probably 1,000 kids from grade 7 to 8. And so we had in grade 8, there was like 4 kids that you knew those 4 kids were like the drug dealers for the school. So these kids like always had packs on them. And so me and my buddies, we had one of my buddies' older brother was like, he was smoking weed. He was probably in like high school at the time. So he was like grade 10 or whatever. He had a bong, he had a pipe, all that stuff. So my buddy like stole his pipe and he's like, yo, let's get some weed, like let's try it out. And we're all down. And so it was after school, and we went up to this guy. His name was Alex, I remember. And he just had a bag full of dime bags, like full of 1 gram dime bags that you could buy off him for like $10 for 1 gram. So we just bought one of those, and then we like got out of school, went to a local cemetery and just like busted it up in the pipe and like smoked it out of this little shitty, like, I don't even think it was glass. It was like some sort of like acrylic or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, didn't get high at all for sure the first time. But it was just like fun kicking it with the guys. And like, we were definitely like a bit of a shithead. Like we were shitheads, and it was just fun doing bad things, So we were just like kind of got it. Like it was exciting, the rush of like doing something that you knew you weren't supposed to be able to do.
Yeah.
But then after that, like we kept on smoking, and then finally like I got like stoned, and it was an awesome experience. Like I had a really good, like first time getting high, I had like a really good experience. Like we were smoking a joint, didn't smoke too much of it, didn't green out or anything like that. So had a really wicked experience. And then I kind of like really went deep in high school. Like I was a heady kid, had a big glass collection.
Okay.
Like I'd be smoking like multiple bowls a day kind of thing. Like, yeah, like at night would always like smoke a bowl before bed. And like me and my buddies, we all like we'd bring each other's bongs to each other's house. And like one guy, like the guy with the nicest bong was like the top guy in like the social hierarchy.
Bong party, bro.
Yeah, so we had like our one buddy had like the camo Illidolph, and like that was the coolest thing. So like we'd go over to his place, and but yeah, we would smoke like hella bongs in high school. And yeah, we were lucky too, because this is a long time. Like that's like over 12 years ago now, and we had some really good connections in high school. So we were getting our weed from Montreal. So we had a couple of buddies who had an older brother living out there who had some good connects. So one guy would try to get a car from a parent in high school, and then we'd rip out to Montreal, bring back a bunch of packs, and then spread it out throughout our friend group. So we had like 10 guys that we'd divvy it up by, so we could buy we'd usually get a couple strains at once, which was sick. So we were getting stuff like green crack, like Northern Lights. We were getting some BC stuff sometimes too, so we get like some Purple Kush, some like OGs stuff like that. But yeah, like I still remember like some of the favorite stuff was like Sour Diesel back then. Like we had a Sour Diesel that even if you had like a 1 gram in your bag, it would stink up your whole house. It was just like smelled like pure skunk. I haven't been able to find anything like that on the rec market or even in the past like 10 years or yeah. So we like had access to some great weed at a young age, which was pretty cool. And yeah, we had a really big squad of friends who were like really into it, which was cool.
That's sick.
And this was also like the beginning era of YouTube. So I was big on YouTube, like watching all these like cannabis personalities on YouTube too. So this was back when like they'd shut down your YouTube account if they like figured out what was going on. Is even worse than it is now with social media and stuff. So it's cool. Like I was watching all these guys out in like California and Colorado with like the infancy of legalization, just talking about different strains and like talking about like different methods of consumption and stuff like that. So yeah, I was like in it in highs at a young age. Like honestly, I was smoking more back then than I do now, which is pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had like definitely like growing up was like it was a big part of like my high school for sure was cannabis and university too. Yeah,
that's dope, man.
Yeah,
how long did it take for you to actually like get high the first time? Like a few times, or was it?
Like I think probably it wasn't until like my 3rd time smoking that I actually got high. Like I just didn't know how to because I didn't smoke like anything. I didn't smoke cigarettes or anything, so I just didn't know how to inhale. So I think it took a while to figure out actually how to inhale properly the smoke, and then when you did, it's like holy shit,
dude! Our first pipe
blows your mind.
We didn't get high off our first pipe either. The first time we smoked, we did a pipe too. Some like weird.
You smoke it like a cigar. You're smoking it like a cigar. You don't know that you have to like inhale it. But then once you like, your buddy's like, no, man, like keep it in your lungs for like 5 seconds. Like keep that shit in until you cough, and then you kind of figure it out.
You were in sales for a lot of your like time before cannabis, right?
Yeah, I've been in sales since graduating university. Like I went to school for environmental studies, and that industry wasn't really there. So I quickly ended up in like a sales job selling toys to a bunch of like Walmarts, and it was shit. Like I was inside sales selling like pool toys to home hardwares, Walmarts. Like it was awful. So did that for a while, and then ended up in in sales for like 5 years or so. So I've been doing sales for probably close to 10 years now. Yeah.
What's the biggest quality that you think the salesperson needs?
I think there's this like misconception that a salesperson has to be like this super extroverted, like loud individual. I think being organized and trustworthy, and just like a good person at the end of the day. Like you want your clients to really like you and trust you. And I think, and that a lot of people just don't have that trait. So like, I think it's huge. Like all the really good salespeople I know, they're not like super loud in your face. They just like actually listen to what you're saying. And like, they're on time. They always show up and they're trustworthy. So I think that's the biggest thing to being a successful salesperson. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Like being personable, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Asking questions and like, you know, when you go into a sales meeting, I see this with new reps a lot. They'll just come in with their sheet and they'll just blurt all this information, right? They'll just spit this information at the person in front of them. And it's like, no, ease your way into it. Like you want to build that relationship. And at the end of the conversation, you can try to sell them whatever you're trying to sell them. Yeah. But the foundation is building that relationship so they actually care what you're saying. Because if they don't know you, they're like, why do I want to listen to you for 5 minutes? You know? Yeah. So I think it's relationship building is like the most important aspect for sure. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I bet you make like so many connections on a daily basis, bro. Going to all these, like, what's your area? Like, how much do you cover?
So when I started at Carmel, like 2 years ago. It was a wild experience. So I started for I was just doing the little GTA pocket for Alethea, and then I saw a job posting on LinkedIn for Carmel. So I'll tell you like I'll dive into like Carmel when I first saw it and like what went through my head. Yeah. So when I was working for Alethea, Carmel launched in Ontario. And I remember just seeing the orange bags, and retailers were freaking the fuck out. Like I was going into, can I swear on here? Is that cool? Okay. Retailers were freaking out, and I go into store, and I'm like, what are you guys all talking about? They're like, yo, this shit's fire. Like you got to check this out. And it was like this orange bag, and it was really distinct. Like it looked different than any other packaging. There were no Mylar bags. Like this didn't exist before Carmel dropped. So just seeing that bag, it's like, what is this? And then I purchased, because I was talking to this recently, like you got to try one of the strains. So I purchased the garlic breath for the first time, dude. And I opened that bag and I've never seen any weed like this. Even on the black market, I've never seen anything like this before. Like, it blew my mind. It smelled like coffee and roasted garlic. Like, it was a crazy terp profile. And the buds were just like gorgeous looking. Like, it was such a crazy experience. So like, I went home, smoked it, like blew my mind, like super clean. Like, the nice, like what I had been smoking before then was like Broken Coast, like sour OG, like Ruxton kind of stuff before that.
Yeah, they had the melon something as well.
Yeah,
like Coast.
Well, there was one that we used to smoke. I forget the name of it, but like their stuff was like probably like the nicest stuff I smoked at that point.
Yep.
And then I saw this and I was like, oh, this is a game. Like, these guys are doing something different. So I went onto their website and then I saw like their whole lineup and how much attention to detail they had about everything. And they actually had a brand. So this was the first brand I've ever seen on the rec market. Like, when I was there, like, you had all these companies that had a name, had a color, and had products, but there was no brands.
Yeah.
Like, there was no story behind these companies. They just like public companies with a shitload of money that they just dumped money onto something, and then they rushed a product to market. And it was all kind of lackluster. Versus this, you could tell like, oh wow, it's like someone really thought this out. And then you watch, they had this like 3-minute video of their master grower Drew running through the facility and talking about his background, and like it was like, oh shit, they took a bunch of really talented black market growers and built these guys a facility, and they're just doing it. So I saw that and I was like, oh man, like I want in on this, like, because I worked like in beer, I worked for craft breweries, so it was like small, independently run, like really high quality liquid. So like that was my wheelhouse. And like Leafy, the products were great, but they were like big, more commercial scale, like more big brand. It wasn't really my vibe as much. So when I saw this, it was like, oh, I want in. And I saw the LinkedIn job posting, but it was for an Ontario sales manager. So I'd always been a territory rep. I'd never been like a sales manager before. I'd never covered like a full province. So I was like, there's no way I'm qualified to get this position. But I was like, fuck it, I'll just put my resume in and see what happens. And then I got a call back, and then I happened to know a lot of guys of the hiring manager at the time who knew the hiring manager. So I reached out to all of them. I was like, yo, text Chris, send these guys LinkedIn messages, like routing for me, like please do that. So they all did that, which was huge.
Nice,
like, big shout out to Graham Steele. He was one of the guys at Superette back in the day, and he really like vouched for me. So I think that was one of the reasons I got the job. But I think I also got the job because I was young, scrappy, I was cheap. Like I probably undercut a lot of the other guys who were going for the position. They're probably looking for a lot more money than me. So I think it all worked out really well, and I went through the interview process and I got the role, which was sick. So I was stoked. But then like starting at the role, it's like they're like, okay, you're the sales guy, you have the whole province, like go. So it's like, holy shit, now what the hell do I do? So I literally, for the first 6 months, tried to go to every store in Ontario. Or every store that was worthworthile going to. Like, that carried... I went all over Ontario. So I was like, Windsor, everywhere. So I was spending like 10 hours just driving a week. Like, it was crazy. Like, I racked up, like, first year at the company, I think I racked up like almost like 50K kilometers on my car. Like, just crazy. But I got to meet so many people. And I'll never forget, man, the first couple of store visits I did repping this brand, you walk into the store and people treated you like you were a rock star. It was weird. Like, I was like, I'm not like, I don't like attention. That's not my thing. Like, I feel uncomfortable when everyone's looking at you. And I would go into stores and be like, you're from Carmel? Because they'd never seen a Carmel person before. And they were like freaking out. Like, I have the most vivid memory of, I went to this store in Windsor. And I gave, it's actually Elise at Cloud 29, who's like awesome. She's a big supporter of our brand. I gave her an ashtray, a Carmel branded ashtray, and she started like tearing up in the store. And I was like, oh shit, this brand has a lot of power behind it. I was like, the fact that people are reacting this strongly to just me showing up in store wearing a Carmel t-shirt, I was like, this is wild. There's like a lot of potential here. So yeah, started 2 years ago. And like shortly after I started, about 4 months in, we launched pre-rolls, and then that was like a fucking crazy experience because we were the first ones to do a glass doob tube. So like we got the shipment of glass doob tubes in, and like there was thousands of these really breakable tubes, and I was helping the production team stuff these, and they're all breaking, and we're like, there's no way this is gonna work.
Amber ones?
Yeah, the amber ones, like the Gen 1. And like, we're like, there's no way. We're all like freaking out because they're going out and market. And we're like, these are going to break. Like, how is this going to work? And like, everyone loved it. Like everyone, like the bud tenders were like, we can sell this because it's something different. Like it's completely different packaging. It looks really cool. It's reusable. It's like environmentally friendly. Like there's so much going for it. It was just pretty breakable. So that was the only thing. But like that was a wild experience to launch those pre-rolls, because like Animal Face to this day is like top selling craft pre-roll. And like it just was like the craziest launch of a product I've ever done. Like I've launched a lot of brands, a lot of products, and that was like by far like the craziest thing I've been a part of, which was really cool. Yeah.
What was the pre-roll that was first dropped?
So we first dropped Animal Face.
Animal
for
Face?
Sure. We did Animal Face. Then we probably did like, maybe it was the Mac 1 after that, or the Peanut Butter Breath, one of those two. Yeah. So the pre-rolls have been wild.
So what was it that, you know, caught your eye?
Yeah, so I think the big thing was like, even I think initially it was just the bag, like the attention to detail, even the font. Like they had a really cool font. A lot of the other stuff at that time looked kind of like medical product. Like it was just very like generic looking, like no colors even. Like a lot of it was black and white. The containers back then, like there was very wasn't a ton of coloring, and there wasn't any bags like this. It was all those the plastic
jars. Yeah,
like there wasn't even many glass. There were some glass jars, like some like Quest and some of the nicer brands, like
Simply
Whistler.
Bare and stuff.
Simply Bare. They had the glass jars, but no one had the bag. So just even the bag. But the biggest, I think, actually on the bag too, like all the information on the back. Like there was like tasting notes, like there was terpene information. Like there was like they were the first guys to do terpene information
that's just
on the bag.
Important. I bet Drew is like, bro, we got to put this on there.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah. Well, dude, a lot like Chris. So Chris is the head of sales and marketing. Like a lot of this was like his brain. He was like, he came in and was like, yeah, we need to like as much detail as possible, and transparency was like number one thing they were trying to do. So they just tried to put as much info as could fit. Unfortunately, like you're limited because of the size of the bags to how much stuff you can fit on there. Like we'd love to even put more info, but like, and Health Canada gives you a hard time about all the font sizes and everything too. So you're kind of like, you're stuck with certain things. But yeah, like I think just the transparency, all the information on the bag, like the color, and then what was in the bag was just like, it was by far, when that came out, like I bought the Animal Face soon after, and then the Drew's Dark Helmet. Like it was all three of those strains were the nicest product I've ever seen in the rec market by a lot. Like and like nicer than some of like the nicest black market flower I've gotten. So I was like, there's something here, you know? Like, and like you can, in this industry, you can hire as many people as you want, but if your shit's not smoking, like it's not going to sell. So it's like, you want to be behind something that you can actually like, you actually smoke.
Bro,
right?
you put this on the table and there's no way someone's like, I don't want this, you know? Like, you're going to, or you're grabbing that shit. Like just by looking at it, like you're saying, like the appeal is there. Like it's fully transparent. Like, the whole bag, the color, the palette, the vibe is just
there, and like the genetics 100%. They had were crazy too. Like they had all these, like they launched with like some heavy genetics, like the Garlic Breath, Thug Pug, like really legendary breeder. I was really like I was getting really into just researching like different breeders, like Sea Junkie, Thug Pug. Like Ocean Grown was the Drew's Dark Helmet, and to see like this was the only LP in Ontario that was bringing out these like exotic LA genetics to market too. So that was another thing that was really cool that I wanted to like get behind.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Drew and Billy have been there from the beginning, right?
So it started with 6. So Drew and his brother, the two co-founders, Rowie and Dustin. Rowie's mom was helping out, and then there's a couple more, like Dustin's dad was there, but it just started out, and then they quickly brought on Billy. So Drew and Billy knew each other from the black market, like they were in the same circle, like both super talented growers, and Billy was like the genetic guy, like he was the big collector of genetics. So yeah, they quickly brought Billy on initially, and then like they talk about like they had their first room that they had to harvest, and there was like 7 of them in the room, and they quickly realized this is going to take us a week to just harvest this one room. Like we need people like ASAP. So then they started hiring people rapidly. So I think when I started at the company, we had like 35 people total, like 35, 40 people. We just had our 4-year anniversary.
Congratulations above that.
Thank you, man. It was sick. We just had our 4-year anniversary yesterday, and I think we have 110 people at the company now. So pretty wild to see the growth in like 2 years. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick. You have a really nice location as well. You guys are kind of just like secluded up there. It's super nice.
Yeah, we're in a nice little like 150 acre plot of land right in Oromodonte off of Lake Simcoe. Yep. And they got the land. It was just blank slate of farmland, nothing on it. So like everything was done from scratch, which is crazy.
How much like went into that, bro? Like how much finances?
I don't know. I'm more like, I don't know the finance side, but it definitely wasn't cheap to build that facility. It's like the state of art, like hybrid greenhouse.
Yeah.
And they built everything to Drew spec. But it's it's obviously paid off tenfold. It's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize about Carmel. Like, we're mixed light. So we run LEDs, HPS, and we do the natural sun. Like, a lot of the guys in our category, they're indoor. Just because you have more control, you're able to, you know, get that nice purple color. You just have full control of the environment. But I think what these guys are able to do with the mixed light is wild. To produce quality like this with mixed light, it's pretty sick. And it gives you that terpene range that, like, you can't get indoor. So it's got some cool aspects to it, but it's, Drew always says it's like, it's expert level growing. It's like, you know, you're growing on a hard level versus, like, if you're growing indoor, you can kind of press some buttons and it's still very difficult to grow indoor, but it doesn't have the same intricacies that it does grow in a greenhouse like that.
So you try to go up there like every once in a while and go see what's good.
Yeah, like initially I would go up once a week. We were bringing retailers down to show them we're local, so we're only an hour and like 20 from Toronto. So it's really like a huge tool for us was just like to show retailers what we're actually doing, meet the whole team. Like, you go in there and it's all family. Like, Drew's brother's doing our clones. You got Paul and his wife work there. Like, Paul's our facility manager. Okay. His wife's like managing production. Like, it's all a tight knit community, and it's definitely a vibe when you walk in there. Like, everyone's stoked. The first thing I realized when working there, I went into the greenhouse. Everyone was stoked to be there, which is very hard to find in like an environment like that. Usually when you go to warehouses, or I've been to like a decent amount of facilities before that, people aren't happy to be there. It's tough work. People have their head down. They're just doing the motions, waiting to get out. Like, people there were stoked. They were like singing. Like, people in the pre-roll room are like always have the music going. Like, they're stoked to be there. So it was a cool environment to be part of. You're like, this is something different for sure.
Nice.
And we still got that to this day when people come for tours. Like, oh, everyone's like so happy that's here. It's like, well, yeah, like we're growing like really high quality flower, and like everyone gets treated with like respect. The plants get treated with respect, and the people do it as well.
It totally looked like that, bro. When we visited, it was super clean. Like, the whole setup was so nice. Like, you guys had everything laid out so nicely, and everybody there was just in such a great mood.
Yeah,
like, I get that full vibe, bro. Like, yeah, I totally get why you're here with these guys for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about being a rep?
Favorite thing about being a rep is probably the amount of people you get to meet. And also, like, I'm pretty ADD. I wouldn't survive in an office. Like, the more senior I get, the more I grow in my role, the more I have to do more admin work and like behind the computer. But I love just being out and about, being on the road. Like, I love just meeting new people. Like, I think I've met like thousands of people through cannabis, which is sick, and like 100%. Built so many like I have like probably like 50 people I consider a friend in this industry, just like through going to events, through just running into them on the road. Like, I've met so many interesting people from like different walks of life, and I think that's like my favorite part about being a rep for sure. Yeah, it's just like you meet so many people and you form these like really awesome relationships with like people you would never normally form. Like, you know, like I've got a couple of clients who like live out in, you know, Sudbury, and they're like good buddies of mine now, and like I would never have met that person if I wasn't doing this.
And cannabis brings people together like that,
for sure, because you all share this like common bond that's like a little more niche of a thing. Like, it's a little more of like you know, not a lot of people smoke weed like a lot and like actually care. And like maybe a lot of people do smoke weed, but they don't actually care about what they're smoking about. So like, if you're meeting someone who's like super into it, it's like an instant connection.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's actually Michael. He started an app called Grow and Share. I don't know if you heard of this guy, but it's basically an app where you get to meet people in the cannabis space. You get to trade your like cannabis with them, and he's coming out with a dating side of it as well. So it's like,
oh shit,
this whole like you're saying, like cannabis is such a niche thing. And there's gonna be like this whole like this spot where people can go from the community and connect even more. So
yeah,
it just brings people together.
Like, I think it's sick. Like, within the past like year and a half, we've really been pushing the event space to start doing more consumption focused events, and I think that's an awesome avenue where like people are coming together just to smoke weed and hang out, and like that's never been an option before.
Yeah, dude. Like, you can't go out and show face like that, you know. No. But now, like, it's it's
like you go to these places and no one's drinking; they're just there smoking, having waters, and it's pretty sick. So it's like that never existed. Like, you could never do that, you know. Like, we would go to like the vape lounges and stuff in Toronto when I was younger, but it wasn't the same like vibe. They were awesome. Like, we'd go to the vape lounge at Young and Bloor quite a bit, and it was sick. But you'd just be with your close friends, and you just like you'd be hanging out in there. Versus you go to these events and you're talking to like 100 different people, and you're like, you know, you might smoke with like 5 different people, and like it's a pretty cool to be able to do that now.
Yeah,
for real. So just waiting for those consumption lounges to fully come on board, because we need that.
Need that soon.
Yeah,
Lit is like the only people that are doing that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've heard rumors like a couple others that are trying to do the same thing, but yeah, Lit right now is like the only one in Canada, which is crazy. But like I think a lot of people are just going to start doing it, and I think that's what has to happen.
That's the next, like, in terms of like the business side as well. Like that's the next thing people need to move into. Like this LP and like we were talking previously, the LP and the storefront it's saturated. So the next step is to evolve into something like that. Yeah.
So hopefully like it doesn't seem like the AGCO is like giving people issues with these events, and like I think they're a great way for like brands to get together with bud tenders and retailers, and so hopefully that can continue happening, because it's a great space right now.
Yeah, it's important for the LPs too, because they're trying to go out and meet the community, and you form a bond with them, and like that's like the whole next level to like you're consuming their product and you feel a connection to them almost that way.
Yeah, like you came to the Rares launch. For me, that was so important, getting my whole team down into one space to like chat with everyone who's been supporting us for a long time. And we did it around a new product because we could get the budget to kind of do something like this. But I think it was just like such a good vibe, and like everyone was just like so cool, and it was great to just like get people together, a space where you can all smoke together in like a safe environment. Yeah.
That shit was so sick.
Yeah.
I have so many people from the industry were there.
For sure.
Bam was there.
Yeah.
Wes. When did Wes join the team?
Yeah, so it's a cool story with Wes. So I used to work with Wes in beer I worked with Wes for 3 years at Collective Arts. We worked at the same company. So he was like our like Southeastern rep there. And Wes had saw me come and work in cannabis. So background on Wes, like, so he'd been growing. He's been home growing for like at least over 10 years. So he was the guy when we would have staff parties at the brewery, he'd like bring his home grow and like have us all try, and it was fire. Like the guy was growing like really nice shit. And like when you got to talking to him, like Wes's cousins grew, like Wes's dad was a grower, like the dude, it's like in his blood, and he's so passionate about cannabis. And I was like, I kept on getting in his ear being like, dude, come over to this side. Like I don't have an opportunity for you right now, but just come, like join any company, just get over here. And like eventually we are going to grow and we'll have an opportunity for you, and I'll bring you on the team. So he started working for an agency for a bit, and then finally like we were growing at the rate where we needed someone in Southeastern Ontario. Like it's a huge province, like big territory. And finally the opportunity came up, and I like called him. I'm like, yo dude, this is it. Like I had to open it up and we had to interview a bunch of people, but I was like, I know this is the guy, like most personable dude I know. Like the guy lives and breathes cannabis, and he's like one of the more passionate guys you'll meet and talk to. So it was sick to like bring him on the team, because he's like been a good buddy of mine forever, and I just think he's like salt of the earth dude, and like everyone who meets him like has positive things to say. So it's been sick to have him on the team.
No, I definitely agree. My vibe is the same towards him. Like I feel that as well. Yeah. He's the second person like to rep.
Salesperson. Second rep. We just brought on Brooke too, who's we brought out Brooke's like almost 2 months now on the team, so she's running West is Southwestern, Brooke's running Southeastern. So we just brought Brooke on like 2 months ago. So she's based in Kingston, Ontario. So she's running Ottawa, Kingston, all those areas. So she came from a retail background. Like she was managing a store out in Kingston. So really awesome. Like she's got a great attitude, and like stoked to have another person on the team. So
that's sick.
Yeah.
How is Carmel's reception out there? Like same sort of vibe as
here? Ottawa's like it's one of like my favorite markets to go out to. Ottawa had like a pretty big like black market, had a lot of like illicit dispensaries, and a lot of those people came from the illicit dispensaries and work in the rec dispensaries, and like super passionate about cannabis. Like it's you walk into stores and people are like stoked to see you, and they're stoked to like talk about terpenes and like dive into genetics. So Ottawa's like I think some of like Ottawa and like Kingston are like two I think of like the best markets for like premium flower in the province for sure. Like Kingston's a big one too. Like Genoa at like Calyx and Trichome, like she had a seed shop for forever in Kingston, and then she started up Calyx and Trichome. So there's like a huge like legacy background out there, and these people are super passionate about cannabis, and like they treat their staff really well, and it's pretty awesome to see. Like I think there's some stores in Ottawa that like are some of the best stores in the province for sure.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What other provinces is Carmel in?
So we're in 6 now, I want to say. So we're in, so we started off, the second one we went into was Alberta, and then Quebec, BC, Saskatchewan, and now the guys are looking at New Brunswick and a couple other provinces.
East side.
It was sick. I got to go out to BC to launch out there. It was super, super interesting to see the differences between Ontario and BC. Like BC's like, it's you go into BC, man. So you go Ontario, like has some really educated bud tenders for sure. But I'm going to BC and I'm having like a lot of bud tenders are pulling out magnifying glasses and like looking at the trichome heads on our flower. I'm like, holy shit, yeah, dude. I'm like, this is sick. I was like, these guys really care. So it was like pretty eye opening how passionate they are there about cannabis. And obviously, like black market is still huge in BC, but like. A good example of BC is, I don't quote me exactly on statistics, but like I think only like 2% of flower sales are shredded flower in BC versus Ontario. It's like 11%. Like the premium, like BC is a premium flower market. Like they want high quality. They want to know who the grower is, where it's from. Like it's really cool to see like how passionate people are about like high quality flower out there. Like if you go out to BC trying to sell like mids, like good luck. It's not an easy market. So like we're it's doing well for us. We hired on Davin too, who's like our BC sales manager. He opened up one of the first black market dispensaries in BC, and then he would rep for a bunch of different companies. And he's like really heady dude who like really, really solid grower himself too. Like he's got his own like basement grow going that he kills it. So it's a sick market. I love BC.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carmel is out in BC and BC's loving it.
Yeah, it's doing well. Like I think we're like number 3. I think Animal Face like number 3 pre-roll out there right now in like the craft section, which is pretty sick. Okay. We haven't been out there too long. We launched January, so yeah. So it'll be cool to see that grow. Like and the cool thing is too, we're working with some micros out there too. So like the hippie headbanger, I don't know if you guys got to try that. That was grown by Maggie Cannabis. We had it under Drew's Pheno in Ontario. So like
I'm sure Parm has tried that.
Maggie's like a little grower, a little micro out in BC. Like it's just literally 2 guys. It's their passion project. They built the facility themselves. They grow out there. Like we were able to sell their product in BC and then put all their information on the bag. And like they're guys who they don't have a big operation. It's hard for them to pack stuff. So they ship it out to us. We co-pack it all and then we send it to BC. And it's a great way to kind of showcase local growers. And even in Ontario too, like we're big on showcasing local micros. That's a whole other thing we could get into talking about.
It's too important, man. Like you need to be doing that for sure. Like we were talking about, like these guys are passionate. This is like where the roots come from, like we need to keep these guys afloat as much as possible. Yeah. Like without micros, I mean, we're just going to get I guess it's going to be too commercialized, man.
For sure, man. Like I think, the future of the industry is definitely like micros and smaller scale grows. Like we've seen all these big, massive greenhouses just flop, right? Like a lot of these big public companies right now, they're not doing well. Like their share prices are down because like people don't want to smoke this like massive commercialized irradiated greenhouse weed. So I think there's a huge demand for micros. The issue is the barriers to entry for these guys are so high that it's very hard for them to survive. So like we're not a micro. We have an LP license, like we have the full license, but we operate we have 8 rooms and each one operates like a micro in itself. So to scale up last year, we started working with a couple of different micros so we could get more product into market. So that's where Drew and Billy's Pheno were started. They were a way for Drew and Billy to pick lots they really liked, and we could bring that to market and then showcase those growers as well. Like right now we got Billy's Pheno in market. That's Papers Craft Co. is growing an Animal Face Girl Scout cookies. So they're 2 guys in downtown Calgary that pooled together their money. They were black, like the one guy was a black market grower. The other guy was selling his product on the black market, and they pooled their money together and they built a micro. So we've been bringing in their product in Ontario for like the past year. And like, that's probably the highest regarded flower that one of the highest regarded strains we brought out. Like people just love it, and these guys are so consistent and they crush it. So it's cool to see them now. Like now they're on Mendo. They've got like a 7 gram or 14 gram bag, and like we've got a couple new genetics we're launching for them in Ontario this summer. But they're just sweet guys. Like we were on BC kicking it with them, like good dudes, and it's just like cool to be able to like help them get their product to market, and then maybe eventually they'll scale up and they'll run their own brand, right? Yeah, but it's like a great stepping stone. We just got this new guy who we're going to bring to market in like a month or so. His name's Genetic Mike. He's Drew's homie from the black market, like really big weed map. He was on Weed Maps, like big black market grower, like really good buddies with Drew, like kind of guy, they go out for their birthday dinners together and shit. Yeah. And he just got a micro online, like probably a year ago. And he harvested his first room like about 3 weeks ago or a month ago. So we're going to bring that lot to market under rares. So that's the next rares drop is Genetic Mike. And this guy's like, he's the real deal, man. You go talk to this guy and like he'll fucking talk to you for hours about like even just genetics alone. Like he's a huge, like Drew and him met, like I think they met like 8 years ago at a grow store, and they were both buying materials. And he overheard Drew talking about some of the seed packs that he had just gotten. He's like, yo, I want to buy that off you. And Drew's like, fuck you, I don't even know who you are, I'm not giving you this. And then like through that they like slowly built this friendship. And it's sick to see now Genetic Mike coming to the rec market after Drew just being like, dude, you got to do it, it's like the future. So like, you know, he just quit his black market stuff and then he's coming straight out, which is awesome to see that. So we're bringing out, he's got a genetic, it will be under rares next after the pink, called Golden Crisp. So it's a GMO cross with cereal milk. It's gorgeous too. We were just in the Cure Barrels yesterday looking at it. It's like very cereal milk dominant. It's got like, it smells like a sweet Fruit Loops kind of smell to it with a bunch of gas. So like really excited to get his gear out in market because he's growing some like fire stuff.
I'm amped for that. Holy fuck.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, like with the micros, like I think it's super important. Like, because a lot of companies buy from micros, put it on their bag, and they don't even say who grew it. They don't give them any, like, I'm not going to name any brands, but there's a bunch of brands that have done that for the past 2 years. And that's like, they don't grow any other flower. They're just essentially a marketing agency. So it's really, I think it's super important to highlight these guys and like show who they are, because like it's, you know, like they're the future of this industry. And like, that's how this industry, I think, will stabilize hopefully eventually, is like a bunch of smaller micros, just because like cannabis is like, it's super risky to run a massive facility. Like if you have a bunch of smaller facilities, you minimize your risk because you have a bunch of smaller rooms. So if something does go wrong with one room, you can, you know, tear that room down, clean everything out, and start from scratch, and you're not as in a bad of a position. So I think like, you know, the micro way is, and it's like, it's the only way you're going to get quality. You can't get quality. Like there's certain growers that have done really good job of like growing at scale, like Simply Bare is like a great example, like their 1964 stuff, like they grow at a pretty big scale and like they're growing fire, but it's very hard to do that. Right. So it's like the micro is like a way that you can grow small batch. Each plant gets touched. Each plant gets cared for a lot, and then you're bringing more quality product to market. So I think that's definitely the future for sure.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So working with like these guys at the facility, like Drew and Billy and all these guys, what are some things that you've learned?
Yeah, like definitely like before coming to Carmel, I was interested about genetics, but I didn't know like a ton about it. Like I knew all the stuff I'd smoked. Like I liked keeping like a catalog of different strains I tried. But just meeting like Billy is like, so he's been collecting genetics for like the past 10 years, and like to the point where like his wife, who's his girlfriend back in the day, was like, why do you have all these seed packs? Like, what are you doing? Like, this doesn't make, he's like spending like thousands of dollars on seeds, and they're like, well, this is stupid. Like you're not going to do it. And like now he's got this crazy portfolio of all these like Seed Junkie, like Thug Pug, like beautiful genetics. And that's what we've been popping. Like, and Drew's the same way. I've been collecting genetics for the past 15 years. So I think that's something I've really taken from them, is just like how important genetics are and how important like where you're getting your genetics are from. Like a lot of these seed packs will pop. Like some of the seed packs we did a sorbetto.
Yeah.
I think Drew said he paid like 1,500 American for like 4 seeds or something like that in the seed pack. So it's like, it's crazy like how important that genetic is, that starting material is. And like, because of that, we always try to put, we always put the breeder's name on the bag, because that's an essential part of your growing, right?
That's where it's originating from, man.
Yeah, exactly. And like, we don't have the time. Like we actually are doing some breeding projects, so we're starting to do that. We did Dim-Mac was like our first breeding project, but the amount of time it takes to like dial in, like you just don't have the time if you're trying to grow for multiple different markets as well. Yeah. So like, I think the genetic side is huge, and like you have to be connected. You have to know how the right people out in the States to get the right genetics too. So like these guys have crazy connections. But I think like the biggest takeaway from meeting Drew and Billy are like, these are just fucking cool guys that you want to kick it with that have no ego. It's like pretty refreshing to meet guys that are that talented at their craft, but they come with no ego, and they're just like, they're really in love with cannabis and just like talking about it. Like whenever I see Billy, we're just talking about like what new gear he's running, like what's exciting, like what the newest First Smoke of the Day podcast is. Like it's just like, you know, he's just like a regular dude, which is great. Like I think like certain people in this industry have pretty big egos, and it's like refreshing to meet guys who are just here for the plant, and like they would both still be growing if it never was if there was no recreational industry, these guys would still be doing the same shit.
Yeah.
So
Talk about his micro a little bit. How's it going?
Yeah, so really exciting. So Billy built his micro. So he's got that up and running now. So he went together with a friend and they funded everything themselves, which is super impressive. And Billy built the plumbing by hand himself. Like it's a labor of love. I think he's got 2 rooms. One's a flower room, and then I think one's a mother room. And yeah, he's so essentially Billy likes doing his own thing. He likes nerding out over his genetics, and that's something he's always wanted to do, like have his own little piece of the pie. So he's built his micro, and then Billy's pheno is now becoming everything that Billy is growing from his micro. So I think he's harvesting his first room in August. And then once that comes out, like probably be a September drop or October drop, like Billy's pheno will just be every genetic that Billy wants to grow in his facility, which is super sick. Like it's really cool that our co-founders Rowie and Dustin like allowed, because Billy still works at our facility 1 day a week. So while he was doing this, he's still there every Wednesday. Like he's still got his flower team. So he's been kind of doing both at the same time. And it's pretty cool how our team's like, dude, that's sick. Go do your thing. Like we want to see you do that. And now we essentially have a 9th room, and that's Billy's micro. So it's pretty sick. Like the first, I won't say the first genetic on here, but like he's got some pretty exciting genetics that he's dropping with. And like Billy likes candy gas. So everything is going to be probably candy gas, which I'm excited for. Like Billy's home grow that he does is some of the best weed I've ever smoked for sure. Wow. Like he gave me this apples and bananas once that like I haven't smoked anything that's been that nice ever. So really excited to see what he does with that micro, and like the whole team's just stoked. Like we're pretty confident it'll be some of the nicest flower in market when it does drop, just because of like it's a small, like he's growing one small room and his attention to detail is pretty meticulous. Yeah. Billy's a math guy. Like
he went to school for math, right?
Yeah, like he's very like analytical. He likes looking at the charts. He likes things to the exact T. So like, and his weed speaks for that. And he is the pickiest guy. Like he's the guy. Like Billy and Drew's pheno, Drew definitely has a big say in picking those, but Billy is like the final guy who will taste it, and he has to like sign off on it if we're gonna bring it to market, because he's got that fine palate. So wow. Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, no, so we're really stoked for Billy. Like I think that's gonna be a really fun project. And like even like yesterday I was brainstorming with him like what genetics does the market want, like because he has such a huge access to genetics that like he can find anything. Like he was like naming off all these crazy genetics yesterday, and I was like, all of those sound awesome. So.
Yeah, grow all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so excited to see what he does there.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. Big shout out to Billy. Hope all the best for him, man. For the micro, yeah, for sure. So, what do you guys got dropping?
Man, so this is why I was really excited to do this with you, because it's perfect timing. So just to put it on the table, like the past. I guess last year was a big year for us just to figure out how the hell do we grow enough animal face. So it was like we were growing a shitload of animal face because we never, like when we popped the seed, we had no idea what the demand was going to be. Like the guys had no idea. And it got to a point where we just can't grow enough of this. Like how do we do it? So finally we've gotten to the point where we have the capacity that we've grown in it. We are able to grow enough animal face. And now we can really focus on bringing out new genetics to market. So this year is going to be a big year of every quarter. We're trying to bring out 2 new in-house genetics. So it's really exciting for us. Like Drew will always say like what keeps him coming to work, like what keeps him going is pheno hunting. Like that's his passion. He likes finding that gem in the rough, that unicorn.
It's because it's like never ending, bro. It's like this never ending hunt, right?
So like he's so fired up, like, and stressed, because like to grow new genetics that frequently is very challenging. So like we have 2 new genetics that are dropping July 11th. So in a couple of weeks, these are coming out. So both of them we pheno hunted in-house. So we pheno hunted these both from seed. And we grew them both in-house at our greenhouse. So yeah, we've got 2 genetics here. We've got the Casemores.
Yep.
So really excited for this one. I actually got into this one last night. So this one's from Prolific Coast Seeds. So this one, what's the lineage on this one? It's, this one's Zuki crossed with, it's like essentially Zuki's crossed with like 5 different OGs. So it's got a pretty unique profile. It's like this one's pretty much pure gas. This Casemores, it's pure gasoline with a bit of like nuttiness to the, if you want to check that out.
Feels amazing.
Yeah. So we're that's probably the one that fired up the most in the cure barrel. Just cause like it's pure gas, which is hard to find.
Dude, I remember smelling this when it was growing, when I came through.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, so we got that one coming out, and then we got this OZ Kush cake coming out. This OZ Kush cake got us all really fired up because in the grow room, this smelled like straight up orange soda. Like you would squeeze the buds and you got just straight orange soda terps, which was pretty sick. And then after curing, it gets a sweetness to it, so it's almost like we've been saying it's like a gassy orange creamsicle. It's kind of the vibe of this OZ Kush cake. So I got into this last night, and it slaps too. This one's very heavy. So yeah, this one is who's the breeder here?
Skittles cross, right?
No, so this one's actually it's Sunken Treasure Seed. So this one's Wedding Cake cross with OZ Kush.
Okay.
This one.
OZ Kush is what? Is that not a Skittles? Might be. Might not be. I don't know.
I'm not. It's a cross of I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the lineage on that. Okay. But this one, like the wedding cake comes through quite a bit. Like you get that heaviness from the wedding cake, but then you get like that the orange terps come through like big time. Yeah, this one we're pretty excited about both of them. Like they're both pretty unique too. Like they're both terpene profiles. Like there's not a ton on the rec market that's straight gas right now. So that K S'mores is really exciting because it gets that, and then this orange creamsicle terp is like pretty unique as well. It kind of like anyone who's a big fan of our sorbetto, I feel like this one they'll like it. It's got some similar kind of vibes to the sorbetto. It's got that sweet, creamy, heavy, gassy smoke. So
sick.
Yeah. So we got these both drop in 3.5s, and then we're doing something new too. Like we used to always drop a 3.5 of a strain and drop a 3-pack of 0.5 gram pre-rolls. We're doing that for the K S'mores, but for the OZ, we're doing actually a 1 gram infused pre-roll.
Infused pre-roll?
Yeah.
Infused with what?
So we're doing an ice water bubble hash.
Hey, yo.
So it's gonna, for the ice water bubble hash we use, it's not always gonna be the same strain. It's gonna be depending on what we have available and what's ready. So I'll always be rotating, which is kind of fun. You'll get to try it.
Nice.
The first drop though, which we're really stoked on, is gonna be a Mac 1 ice water bubble hash. So it's going to be the OZ Kush cake with a Mac 1 ice water bubble hash, which we're all so stoked to try. Because you'll get like those orange terps from the Mac. The Mac 1 had like heavy orange terps. So I think they'll pair like crazy.
And I assume BAM is the one.
Yeah, so that's BAM. Yeah, so yeah, like BAM, I think we got to even like talk about just BAM's story on its own, because it's pretty like, you'll probably have to get BAM on here at some point, because he's a legend. So man, I like BAM has been like honestly, like I teared up, I think, the first time meeting BAM in the industry. So I walked, BAM was working at a shop called the Underground in Barrie. Like a really like, it still is like the headiest shop in Barrie. Like they've got all the new drops. They've got like all like the resins, like they're the shop in Barrie that's got like all the gear, and they're privately owned. They're a couple of the owners, like they were guys who ran legacy shops. Like they know what they're doing. So I walked in one day just like for a sales meeting, and BAM was there. And like the dude was so passionate and like kind and excited, and he literally like broke down to me. He's like, the only reason why I came to work in the rec market was because I smoked your weed. And it was like he's like, this is why I came and worked at a shop. He's like, I finally found weed that was better than this, like not better than the stuff he's growing, but like it was like better than like some stuff I could find on the black market. So like he told me that, and then he gave me a bag of like his trop cookies that he'd be growing, and I was like, oh, this dude is sick. And then slowly we built that relationship, and then he moved over to a different dispensary, like to a manager role. Like he was slowly working his way through the industry, and he did a really good job on social media and just going to every event, meeting everyone. Like the guy, when you meet him, is so likable. Like you just instantly grow a bond with him. 100%. And like he's got like a 10 gram blunt or something that he'll just throw in front of your face and like smoke it with you. So there's like nothing, there's not a mean bone in that guy's body. And then in October we had an event with the Woods guys and the Coterie guys, and we did that like indoor consumption event, and I saw Drew took BAM aside, and he was like talking to him for a bit, and I know they were looking for someone to run the hash lab that we had just built, and then BAM comes back to me, he's like, dude, like I think Drew just like offered me a job at the facility. I'm like, no way, dude. He's like, yeah, man, he offered me a job to like come wash hash for Carmel. I'm like, no fucking way. And I was like, Drew better not just like said some shit that, because he was just like, Drew's like a very much like a social guy, a yes man. But there you go. Like 2 weeks later, I'm at the facility, and there's BAM just wearing his Carmel tag, like with a smile ear to ear, man. And like it's been so sick to see him showing up every day, and like since he's been there, our yields from hash have gone way up. The quality has gone up. He's changed the SOPs. Like he's been killing it. And then like 2 months ago, they brought on Bam's son. So now he's got Bam, and we call him Baby Bam, are together washing hash for us, and they're making killer hash. And they're just like firing up the whole team too. Like they come to work with such a good attitude and like just stokes everyone out. And like, man. So it's not only like, is he making really good hash, but he's just like, he's such a great addition of like bringing this positive energy to our team. And like, I'm stoked to bring Bam out to like events this year. And just like, we want to do like, we're doing a hash SKU this year too, which is really exciting. Sick. So like Bam's working on this right now. We're doing, we're still looking what the exact format will be, but we want to do like kind of like an old school press hash, and it will be with our ice water bubble hash. So we're thinking we're doing like a 2 gram hash SKU for the fall. So like that will be Bam. And like, we want to do some events around that with like, and maybe do some like educational events with Bam of like, how do you even wash your own like ice water bubble hash and stuff like that. So it's been really sick to have him part of the company, because he brings like this crazy energy.
Superstar, man.
And I've never met someone who doesn't like Bam. Yeah, if they don't like him, they're just jealous of like, he's killing it. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I remember we pulled up to what event was that? It was up at Lavelle.
Oh, dude.
What was that, dude? The 86, something like that? What was it?
Yeah, it was Lavelle.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And this guy had the 100 gram pink spliff.
Yeah, it was insane.
And he was just passing that around.
Yeah, dude, I think he was smoking that for 3 hours. It was unreal. Yeah, the guy's lung capacity is impressive. Yeah. Yeah, he rolled up to our rares launch too with like, I think like a 20 gram hash blunt. And it was
the hash wrap blunt? Oh my God.
Man, we had our 4th year anniversary yesterday. He rolled up with one as well, and he's getting like half the team.
Dude, I need to join Carmel.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been sick to like, it's cool, man. We have like a lot of cool, like Drew is such a cool guy like that, where if like he sees you have good energy and you're passionate, he'll take a chance on you and bring you on. Like, dude, I was at the facility a year and a half ago. Our UPS driver drops off a box. I like pick the box up from him. He's like, "Are you guys hiring?" I'm like, maybe. We might be. 2 weeks later, he's working at the facility, and he's still there, man. He's killing it. So like, it's and there's like a handful of bud tenders that are working for us now from like the Barrie Aurelia area. So it's like pretty cool to see all these people like coming and working for us, and like it's sick. It definitely stokes you out when you're like seeing people that happy at work.
I love it, man. Yeah, no, that's what it's about, bro. Like, you're passionate about something, you're working on that. Like, it can't be better, man. Life can't get better than that, for real.
For sure.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna be at Kind?
Yeah, so we're gonna be at Kind. We're gonna be there both days. Pretty excited. Kind has always been like the event to be at, kind of thing. Like the most people come out for it. It's the most like outrageous. Like, I'll never forget the first winter Kind. That was like a Cirque du Soleil kind of vibe, and it was wild. Like it was sick just attending it, because we won a bunch of awards, which was awesome and unexpected, and like the vibe was crazy. And I've never seen like so much effort put towards a cannabis event. Like, you go to the trade show cannabis events where you walk the floor and it's kind of lifeless. Kind was like the first event that had like its own personality, and that had like a way different vibe. So
it was a vibe, bro.
Yeah,
for real,
yeah. So pretty stoked. The summer Kind is always wicked too. Like, it's always good vibes. And yeah, we've got a bunch of new products coming out for this one. So like I said, we have the 4 new SKUs coming out, and then we got a 14 gram bag of animal face. So it'll be sick just to get all the new product in front of everyone. So we're excited for that. Yeah. So we're doing Kind. We're doing, I think, Hall of Flowers this year too. So that's another one too. We haven't attended yet, so it'll be exciting to get out to that one, and definitely narrowing it this year of what events we go to. Last year I was kind of trying to do as many as we could just to get a read on it, but now that we've got more of a read on events, like there's a lot of events now, so very selective with like which ones we'll attend. Like, I'd almost rather do like the big ones and then do them internally, because you just get full control over everything. Like that Rares launch event, like, got control over the playlist, everyone who's attending, and then it's only our brand there, and we get to bring our team and get to meet everyone. So I think there's something to say for that. But at the same time, I still want to like support people and do as many events as we're capable of. But it's expensive, so you gotta be careful what you throw your money at for the events.
For sure. It's gotta be financially sound, for sure.
For sure.
Now, when you guys did that OPP party though, like it was such a vibe, bro. Like the whole place just felt like it was Carmel's place.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you walked in, it was just orange.
Yeah, man. We spent a ton of like, that was my baby. Like, we spent like,
I remember you were there, man, setting up early as fuck.
Yeah, we were like, we probably like, a month out, we were planning for that. And then like I literally handcrafted a playlist for that. Like, we went in and like we put up posters everywhere, and like Amy and the OPP team were super awesome with that and like helped us out. And the turnout was awesome. And like the Rares launch was a big success, and like I couldn't have asked for more from that event. So love to do more stuff like that around like when new drops are coming out. Like it's really lucky for us that like Kind is at the same time that our drops are happening. Like Kind is literally on July 11th, and our products are on the portal on July 11th. So the timing is like perfect for everyone to kind of check out the new products for that. So, but yeah, I find events in this space are really fun because no one's done them before, and you kind of have to push the envelope a bit. So I think there's a ton of room to get creative with it and push the envelope. And I think cannabis events right now are pretty exciting. So it'll be cool to see where it goes in the next couple of years. Like it's really cool to see like the Can I Kick It guys, they're doing it. Like Dave and the guys, they come from like rave backgrounds. They've got a ton of warehouses and stuff, and like they throw pretty kick-ass parties. So it's cool to see like guys like that coming in. That's way less corporate. It's more like, you know, for the true smokers, and they're all really heady dudes that are into their hash and everything. So it's cool seeing like more like targeted events for more like craft LPs and more of like the heady consumer than just like the big commercial events. So yeah, a lot of these like big, you know, conferences we probably won't even go to that much anymore, just because like they're kind of lifeless and they don't have a focus, and they're just like not very impactful. So
even the last couple that we've been to have been like, okay, like what is the real point here? Like what's going on?
It's like, who's even your target audience? Because you've got like a million different sides of the industry here. Like focus. Like I wasn't around for this, but apparently the OCS used to do like retailer LP events where they would host like a venue where all the LPs would have booths, and it was all retailer focused. Like something like that. Like I think that would be great if they could bring that back. Because that's like what we need, right?
Like going away from,
because the issue with these events are expensive, right? To get a booth is really expensive. We're privately owned. We don't have like a ton of money to throw at something, so like it's challenging to attend a lot of these events. So we have to be very selective with what we do. But like we want to be there, but we just can't, you know, afford it. So if there was more kind of opportunities,
government kind of stepped in and did their role a little bit more.
Yeah, it was cool. Like I even at Lyft, they like sponsored a couple of booths, so it was good
I seen
to
them
see.
there.
Yeah, it's cool to see that a bit. But yeah, we definitely need some more grassroots kind of lower budget events for the craft guys to still get involved. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite terp?
Favorite terp? So I honestly, I've got a horrible memory. I don't remember, like I know some of the terpene names, but I go for flavors.
Yeah.
So like I really like candy terps. I don't like anything with too much citrus in it. I like a nice fruity terp with a nice gas backing is usually what puts me in a good spot. So I can even like, it's gotten to the point where I can tell just by smelling the bag if it's going to like work for me or not.
Okay.
But like
Sick.
anything I find like anything that's too, like if it smells like pine sol too much or anything like that, like doesn't sit. I don't like sour strains very much. Like I like sour diesels, but I don't like a sour kush or like a sour OG as much. So yeah, I don't know, like I don't know the names as well, but I kind of know the smells that like get me going or that don't.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's probably like a farnesene caryophyllene combination, that like candy gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like a nice balanced hybrid is kind of what I go for. So I find like if I smell something that's just like funky, gassy, like just stinks, I know sometimes that's gonna really fuck me up. It might be good for bed, but like I like strains where I can be like coherent and still have good conversation and stuff. Nice. So I find like when there's a lot of like fruitiness going on there and a little more mild, subtle gas, that's like what puts me in a nice spot. Usually. Yeah.
I think that's haze for me, more like hazy floral vibes.
Yeah.
And that gets me a little bit more uplifted. But
yeah.
Then I'll smoke like the pink and like that'll just put me out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like this case more is like it smells like straight gas, and I think that's probably gonna be like my before bed strain. Like I know by smelling that it's like it's not gonna.
You smell it, you just pass out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I was telling you before, Drew's working on a breeding project right now. He's got a 15-year-old cut of sour diesel. So he's crossed that with our animal face. So he's done a breeding project. I think he's working through like 20 different phenos of that right now. And like he just gave me a couple of samples of one of the phenos, and it's just like the perfect sativa for me. It's like not too crazy. Like it's definitely got some citrus, but it's got a nice amount of diesel to it. And it's just like cruisy. You can talk to anyone on it. Like I love stuff like that. That's just super balanced. And I think Drew's pretty good at that, doing strains that are like quite balanced. Like they're not too much on one spectrum or the other. Yeah. But it's hard to know what the market wants, man. Cause like there's so many people out there that just want these like knockout indicas. And then there's people that want their sativas. But I don't know. Like I like a nice balanced hybrid, and I think a lot of people who've been smoking for a while, that's like what they gravitate towards. Just something with a unique terpene profile that like, you know, puts you in a good spot.
Yeah, I think like nowadays it's more about like finding unique terpene profiles for me, especially. It's like, what are the different combinations that I can find, and what do they do for me? You know, because there could be a combination that we haven't found yet that could just be like perfect.
For sure.
So I think still dialing in the ratios and the percentages is still...
It's cool. I'm just like fascinated with breeding and especially with breeders out in the LA, and like they're just like hunting for exotic terps. And there's this one crew of breeders, I forget the name, but they've found this like blue Gatorade terp that they talk about. And they're like, dude, it smells exactly like blue Gatorade. And like, I find stuff like that is so exciting. Because like, if you can just find like, because like you look back, you know, like 10 years ago, or even less, like when they first found like Sunset Sherbet and then all the gelatos and stuff, like nothing like that existed at the time. So you got to imagine when they first discovered like candy terps, it's like, and then they had Skittles and then it evolved. And it's like, so like, what's the next terpene going to be? And like, we're constantly trying to like breed stuff and pheno hunt stuff that has like a super unique profile, but it's like, what's going to be that next, like right now it's the candy gas, like runts is huge, right? Like everyone's bringing out a runts cross. So it's like, what's going to be the next thing? And like we see like OGs making a bit of a comeback too. Like people want that like musky, like heavy OG terp. So it's like, what's going to be the next thing is something we're always asking ourselves right now. Yeah.
It's tough to gauge that, man, you know, because the industry's so crazy. It's like, just switch at any point, you know?
For sure. We definitely notice like there's like a big wave of like stuff that's popular in LA right now. It usually comes to us like a year or two later.
So you guys kind of like see what's good there and then try to anticipate what's going to happen.
Like, we're big of like still getting like new drops from when like new genetics drop that the guys find exciting. Like they'll figure out ways to like get that over and start pheno hunting those genetics to try to, because like with those new ones, you have to be really quick on it because someone else can bring it if you don't. Yeah, like a big example of like something like that would be like Black Market brought out the Jealousy. That was like really hot in LA, and they were like the first ones to bring it out in market, which was sick to see that come over. So
I love that Jealousy.
Yeah,
so
it's a sick genetic. So
I'm in love with Sherb, bro. Like, I just die for Sherb.
I love a good like straight Sunset Sherb.
Yeah. Jealousy is literally Sherb crossed with gelato.
Yeah. Gelato's another one too, man. Like we have so many cuts of like we've pheno hunted gelato 33s, gelato 41s, like a ton of gelato crosses too. And it's such a beautiful genetic. Like we love it. It's just kind of saturated in the market right now, so we want to do some other stuff.
Yeah.
But gelato 33 is like definitely one of my all-time favorites. Yeah.
When you get that gelato and then you mix it with like this unique terp. So like I smoked this pistachio gelato like the other day, like shit like that, bro. Yeah, you can like kind of come out with things like that. I think that's the next wave for gelato as well. Like
for sure,
getting that combination of
I think we're working on. We've got a couple of like Skittles crosses, which is pretty exciting because like Skittles, I as far as I know, it hasn't come to the rec market in Canada. And like the main reason for that is it's just like it's not a pretty plant. It's very finicky to grow. It takes a long time to grow, and it's like to grow it at scale is really difficult. So like no one's messed with it. But if you can cross it to something that is like a big yielder, it's a stable genetic, and you can take those Skittle properties, those terps, and bring it over. Like I hope someone can do that soon because like it's like a killer strain. Yeah. Like our guys have a cut of the Skittles. We've just never been able to grow it like commercially. We've pheno hunted it, but it's ugly and it's finicky. And to grow it at scale, like when we run rooms, we run 2,000 plants at a time, and like it's not going to work out. Bag appeal is huge, man, right? So like you want something that looks pretty. So that's a big thing for us always.
For sure.
Yeah.
We grew Skittles, I think 2 runs ago.
Yeah.
Like 5 like seeds of Skittles.
Yeah.
And like our number 1 pheno was actually beautiful.
Oh yeah. Sick.
Like, the way it looked, everything, the way it tasted, smelled, like busted down. Everything was actually amazing. So I was really, really happy with that Skittles.
Yeah.
I'd love to see more of that.
For sure. Yeah. And like as we were talking about before we started filming this, like there's a lot of genetics that just don't see the light of day right now, which is like pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
And from our grower, like for a grower's perspective right now, this market is tough because like it is so THC focused that like there's a lot of genetics that just will never see the light of the day, just because they don't test over 25%. So like a lot of the stuff that we pheno hunted that we have absolutely fallen in love with, like we can't bring it to market just because it doesn't hit the fucking number. And it's like, it's
So
just a number.
unfortunate.
Like, and because like often what we would do with these genetics is like Billy or Drew would had their home grow would grow it out there first, and then we'd all try it and like compare notes. And like a lot of the ones that we thought were the highest test were some of the lowest testing ones. So I really don't think there's a ton of correlation between THC and potency. Like there might be a bit, but I think there's so many other factors there. Like there's so many strains that like there's certain even terp profiles. Like the Pure Michigan was one I was talking about by Thug Pug, that like such a heavy terp profile, like that burnt rubber and gas, like the nasty smell. And like you knew that was going to slap you. And it was like 14% THC, right? So it's like, I think there's so much more to the plant. And I think, you know, the way the government has set things up and, you know, the way COVID had people shopping, I think it really set up people to really be hyper-focused on THC and price. And it's unfortunate because, like, we're kind of trapped in this bubble now where we can't grow anything that doesn't hit 25 plus, especially at our price point. People associate, like, quality with high THC right now, so you have to be coming in high. So it's a challenge to like bring out new genetics because like we still will only bring out a genetic if we like the way it smokes, if we like the way it looks, if we like the way it tastes. But it also a huge factor now for us is it has to hit that THC number,
which is pretty shitty because obviously if you guys are smoking something, you guys are connoisseurs at the end of the day and very, very, I guess, like you guys know your weed, you know? So if it's slapping you like that should just be like automatically, okay, we should be able to put this in the market.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, it's shitty too, because like a lot of the older genetics that we all love and that we know, they'll never test. Like we've like ran like Northern Lights, Sour Diesel, a bunch of these old cuttings, and they come in like well below 20. And they'll never come in above that. So like we're gonna lose. We're gonna see like unless people start tissue culturing more and like do more to preserve these genetics, we're gonna see a lot of these older genetics get lost within the next while, which is shitty. So like what we're doing to combat that is we're crossing these old genetics with new school genetics that we know have, you know, high test, like Animal Face, for example, is one of our mothers that we cross a lot of things with because we know we want to get, you know, that we want to spike things with their THC but keep their flavor and so we're trying to do that right now. But I would love to see, like, I don't think it would do well in market. They probably wouldn't even be able to get listings, but a company come out just focusing on old school genetics. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. Just find some old heady grower who's like 6 years old that's got this crazy seed vault and just grow all the old school stuff we used to smoke like 20 years ago, you know, 15 years ago. Yeah, because that's what's really missing. Like when you look at our diversity of genetics right now, it's all gelato crosses, it's all Skittle crosses, it's all ice cream cake crosses. Like there's GMO crosses. Like there's not as much variety as I think there should be for like how much technology we have. And I think THC is a lot to do with that right now. Because if we could just grow things based upon how they smell, how they smoke, it'd be a totally different ballgame. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, and looking at, you know, we always look at the LA market because it kind of dictates what happens here a bit. They're still like going nuts for THC. So like, it's going to be hard to break that, you know? Yeah.
What's been your favorite Carmel drop?
Favorite? So probably... It's between the Mac 1 or Sorbetto. Like the Mac 1 was just like, it was the loudest bag I've ever opened. Like it, the final. So when we grow a new genetic, it takes a couple of rooms to fully dial it in. So with the Mac 1, like the first room was pretty impressive. Like it was super loud, but by the fourth room, I think we hit 6.7% terps. And that's like a high north number. Like that's not a Fugazi, like one of these crazy labs that people shop at now number. So like that blew our minds. We didn't even know that was possible to hit that high of a terp. So like that strain was just unreal. So that Mac 1 was crazy, but I think the Sorbetto was the one I like really fell in love with. It was just like, the effects were what did it for me. Like the flavor was great. It was like very like sweet and creamy and like this smooth, like thick smoke, but it was just like the perfect balanced, like indica leaning hybrid that it just like would put me in such a good mood. And I really like that strain. And now that it's gone, like a lot of people always ask, like, "Oh, are you going to bring that back?" But I think this OZ Kush cake will like I think a lot of people who love the Sorbetto will love that. So yeah.
I'm excited. I unfortunately didn't get to try the Sorbetto like that. I had like one nug or something like that of it.
Oh, okay.
So
man, if I find any bags, there's like some retailer they're still holding on to like a bag or two. So I never come across any. That one aged really well. It's funny with certain strains too. certain strains will age well. Like we do a nitrogen flush bag, so it preserves it pretty well. If the retailer's got a good storage method and it's in the nitrogen bag, there's certain strains that can last like a year and a half. Like it's not ideal, obviously, but like they still can smoke. Like I bought some Sorbetto that was like a year and like a couple months old, and it still smoked great, which was wild. Animal Face, no. Like Animal Face needs to be smoked within the first 6 months. It degrades really quickly, but there's other genetics that just, I think it's due to like bud structure. Like there's so many factors that go into that. But yeah, certain strains can like last a pretty long time, which is interesting. Yeah.
A lot of our gelatos that we've grown in our past run, it's been like a year since we've harvested, and they're kind of like getting to their true like taste and all that, but I think they're weaker now because the THC obviously degrades over time.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing you're sacrificing.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. No, it's like the market's fascinating right now because like especially in the premium, like I think when you're looking at, you know, your value brands, like you can kind of run one genetic a bit longer. But I know even like I talk to those guys, I got a bunch of buddies who work at like Dan at Pure Sun's Farm, but I talk to him all the time. I talk to these other guys and they're feeling the pressure too of constantly having to come out with new stuff. Like innovation is what's running this industry right now. And the problem with that is like we're dealing with a plant that's highly difficult to dial in. So like all these growers now are having to figure out how to grow all these new genetics in a pretty short time window. So it makes their job very difficult. Like
Scott was saying, Scott Clayton, he was saying that like cannabis right now is like fast fashion. Like it's like what's next?
Yeah, man.
It's like you can't even appreciate what's there right now.
Yeah.
No way.
Like it's stressful right now. Like we're seeing like shift and like part of it is with the OCS. Like this summer alone, we have 800 new SKUs dropping from the OCS. So it's like, how are you supposed to stand out? Especially as a new LP, like let's say you're coming to market right now, you got no brand equity. Like how are you supposed to, why would a retailer take a chance on your product if no one's ever heard of you before and you're just coming to market, right? So it's like, it's a very tough time in this industry. And like, there's just too many producers, but like it's an open market. So that's going to happen. It's going to take a while for it to like, you know, to clean up a bit. But right now it's a kind of a scary market. Like you're seeing trends shift like on a monthly basis, and then you're seeing like more products than's ever been seen before. So like innovation is key, and you've seen like a prime example of that would be Decibel with General Admission. Like General Admission has just taken over the market with their infused pre-rolls because they're like that's been the most innovative market like products to come to market. So like you look at we always look at their number. I look at their numbers like almost every day. And I'm like, what the hell? Like it's crazy. Like they're crushing everyone right now just because they were the first one and they executed really well. But it's like like innovation needs to continue, and it's really hard because you can only innovate so much that it gets to the point where it's like you see all these product launches now that they're bringing out a product for the sake of innovating, like infuse KD. Like we don't need that. Like you can, but it's there because it's innovative and it's cool. So like you're gonna see especially in the edible space too. Like the edible space is wild to me. Bro, like I love watching it.
Any normal thing could be transferred into an edible. Yeah. So that's why there's like unlimited potential in that space.
Yeah. But it's like the longevity of these brands. Like you can only innovate so much. So I think like I love Todd at Rosin Heads. Like I think what he's doing is so sick because like he's like not listening to all the noise. He's just focusing on making the best quality edible that's in market. Yes. And like I think his truffles like for me are like I think that's like the best quality.
Dude, I just ordered like 12 off Mendo.
Oh, they're insane. Like, they're insane. Like they're so he gave me a carrot cake one recently. I was like, this is like the like I would just buy that if it didn't have weed in it. I don't care.
That's the thing, bro. Like you'd buy it without weed. That's the thing, you know? You're focusing on the ingredients, you're focusing on the actual product itself. So even like the hash that they infuse it with, that's like they're growing that space. They're not like just already coming into a more saturated space. Yeah. They're trying to create another like lane in the space.
Yeah, like I love to see all the solventless stuff coming in. Like the sheesh sodas, like those are sick. Like I find the high is so much different from like so much different. It's got legs to it. Like a distillate high just like makes me sleepy. It makes me want to go to bed, which is great. Like if I just want to like go to sleep, like it's great. But if I want to like go cruise around, like go do an activity, if you take like a live rosin edible, it's a totally different experience.
So it's like almost like you took CBD as well, like along with THC. Like that's how it's like a balanced high.
Like I don't know if you've ever done mushrooms at all, but I almost find like like a live rosin or live resin edible is like almost it's kind of not that similar to like a little bit of like a microdosing on edibles, but it's got a kind of like same like more euphoria. There's more to it like than just like feeling tired and wanting to go to sleep.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm hoping to see more people doing that and like the cost coming down because But I'm sure that's challenging to do with the landscape right now.
For sure. Yeah. Like you said, it's going to settle itself out eventually. Yeah.
That's the other thing that's like concerning about the industry right now is like the price compression too. Because like, you know, I've been buying weed for over 15 years. I've always paid $10 a gram.
Yeah.
Why is now everyone being like, I want to pay $5 a gram? Like that never existed on the black market where we had no taxing. The costs were minimal. Yep. Like why is now like everyone's like $50 ounces? Like I drove by, like we have all these like illicit dispensaries still in Toronto that have storefronts. They're advertising 2 ounces for $100. And it's like, man, like it's just the price is getting so low now that it's like it's not sustainable. Like all pricing across the board is going to have to go up. Like we've came in at a certain price and we've stuck to that price and we're hoping just to ride it out. Like everyone else is going up and down right now. People are going down, but like I think like, you know, the $20 3.5 gram that's not sustainable. That's going to have to go up. And like it's just a matter of when. Like either you can't sell based on the taxing structure, all the costs, all like everything that goes into it, you can't sell product for that cheap. So it's going to have to go up. So I think we're going to see a major shift like in the next, you know, year or two of like pricing going up a little bit because everyone's going to have to survive.
Yeah, man. $10 a gram is so reasonable. Like that's what we paid before, you know, like for a quarter, you're paying like $60 or something.
Yeah. Like and then if you buy an ounce, maybe you get, you know, like $8 gram. Yeah. Like it's like, but like to have like $5, like to want good weed for $5 a gram, it's like in what world, man?
That.
Like
can't expect that.
When you see how much energy it goes into like each product, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's so hard to grow weed, especially at scale.
Yeah,
it's unreal, man. Like the things that go into it, and now you're talking about the legal side where there's all this other government shit that you have to deal with.
Yeah,
it's not just like growing and selling it. It's like growing, selling, and documenting that you're doing all this shit.
Yeah,
like so it's a lot more work.
It kind of drives me nuts when like people are like, oh, your weed's too expensive, but it's like when you look at how long it takes our weed to go from like seed to shelf, it's like that's like over a year process.
Yeah, dude. And
like we cure everything for like a month, we hang dry everything for 2 weeks, everything's hand trimmed. Like the amount of labor, it's just like this is like how we can survive to charge this price. If we charge any less, like we can't we're gonna have to do something else.
Yeah,
like we're gonna have to just like not, you know, machine trend. Like that would be the only way to like. So it's like, do you want good quality or do you just want a bunch of irradiated mids and you pay like $20 for a bag? And like we really don't want that to happen, right? So like we want to like be able to keep like we need premium products in this market, and it's nice seeing guys like I really like what like Cody Colson at Percy's doing, where he's like just sticking to his guns and he's, you know, he's using really high quality inputs. He's keeping that price point up. And like guys like Frost Cannabis coming in, like charging, you know, a bit more. And like we need more people like that because we need to keep that premium category alive. Because if everyone just plummets their prices down, like that's going to kill the premium category. And then like we're stuck with all this like cheap weed. Yeah.
I'm not trying to live in that world.
No. Yeah, like you got, you know, you go to the liquor store and you've got your run-of-the-mill whiskey and then you've got your single malt $200 bottle of scotch. Like we need to have that in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't lose that.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, like where are the connoisseurs going to go to, you know? Like I'm not trying to...
Well, they're going to go to the black market. And like I'm seeing this more and more with like a lot of the like super heady guys. They're going back to the black market now because like they can't afford... Like I totally get it not being able to afford a $50, you know, 3.5 gram bag. So like a lot of these guys are going like to, because there's still some good stuff out there, and it's like we need to be able to compete with them a bit more. So we need to lower, you know, we need to lower the OCS markup, and we need to lower excise taxing, and we need some more breaks because like we want to compete a bit more
and bigger like bag sizes. That's gonna go into cheaper. Like obviously overall, people can split those. Like there's like hella things. So. We can get to like ounce bags, half ounce bags. Like you guys are dropping your edible face.
Yeah, like we're stoked to get 14. Like our 14 gram bag is going to be $10 a gram, which is like it's nice because like you know I feel like that can compete with some stuff on the black market.
Sure,
you know, $10 a gram.
Yeah.
And like eventually we want to do more formats and like, you know, like so it's I think like to have more high quality stuff in the bigger formats is going to be huge for sure. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year as well.
Yeah.
Like we're already seeing some like Fire 7 gram bags too, and like some Fire 14 gram bags.
I'm excited.
So yeah, that's where we need to go for sure as an industry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these guys, man, they smoke like 3.5 grams in like a couple hours. So it's like, that's there's no...
rolls it in one spliff. Like, it's done in one joint.
Yeah, so like if you're a heavy smoker, man, like you can't be buying these 3.5 gram bags all the time.
Yeah, bro, you're going to be on the street begging for money.
I think it's like, it's a great like trial product. Like if you're going to launch a SKU, like launch it in 3.5. So you can try it out, but then like you're going to need to have like a 7 or 14 gram eventually if you want that to stay alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What do you think the world needs more of?
Just in general?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think positivity. I think like people like just instead of focusing on bringing each other down, need to like bring each other up. Yeah, I feel like even in like we're lucky in cannabis, like everyone like gets along for the most part, but like there's still like a lot of negativity that goes on, and it's like we're all just out here trying to survive, and like let's like try to work together a bit more. Like I think we do have like, especially I love it with like the craft guys, like we all look out for each other. Like Loud Pug Cyrus, like we look out for him, he looks out for us. Like we if it's like a local, all the craft guys, we work together and we try to stick up for each other. But I think we need more like collaboration and like positivity for sure, because we're all in the same game together, and it's a highly competitive industry, so people are going after each other. Yeah. And you have to be careful not to get caught up in it when someone copies directly your brand and you're like you want to go after them. It's like, you know what, take it as a compliment and keep on doing your own thing and don't listen to the noise.
Everywhere is going to have negativity, but the thing we can do is focus on ourselves, like you're saying, and just focus on putting out positive.
I think for like the cannabis space, that's the biggest thing, is like don't focus on all the noise, because it's just a new industry. It's going to be just like stick to your own lane and try to do the best job at what you're doing and try to execute the best you can, because like there's always going to be all these brands coming up, there's going to be all this noise, but like there's nothing you can do about that. And like there's certain players that are going to be here for a long time, and they're the ones who are just focusing on their own shit and trying to succeed in their own lane. Yeah, like we try to really like preach that to our side. Like for product innovation and stuff, we're not, we're looking at all these distillate pre-rolls, like we're not getting involved in that at all. Like
you guys have fully, the king of hash, like
we're fully like we're never gonna do like a botanical terpene and something, because like that straight up scares me, man. Like I don't think you should be combusting botanical terpenes in flower. But like obviously people like it and there's a market for it, so hey, but like we're sticking to like everything solventless and like trying to put as high quality inputs into everything as we can. Like we're pretty stoked. We just changed up our what we're using to feed the plants. And like we're noticing crazy results from that. Like Drew's buddy had this like crazy recipe that I was using, and so we're mixing our own nutrients now, and like that flower hasn't even come out in market yet, and like it's crazy the difference it's made. Like just like trichome production, yield, everything's gone up. So it's like
the animal phase
with every genetic we're doing. Yeah, like we've changed up our feed cycle across.
So you've noticed like a complete difference
instantly. You notice. Wow. Yeah, like what we were doing before was awesome. Obviously, it was working really well, but just making that adjustment, it's been like pretty exciting. So like that product will probably be coming out in the next like 6 months or so from like the new nutrients. So just like with us, it's like constantly trying to get a little bit better.
Dude, that's like the thing. Like there's never a perfect thing, like you're always trying to improve and always trying to get better. And that comes back down to the passion that you guys have for it as well. Like that shows like you're always trying to get better and improve. Yeah. And continuously trying to strive to give your customers the best.
Yeah, like you got to think of it like Coca-Cola. They've been making Coca-Cola for a long time. Like they've had their facilities for like, I don't know, 100 years or whatever. Yeah. All these cannabis LPs, a lot of them have only had their facilities for the past 3 to 5 years. It takes a long time to dial in a facility, right? So like you look at, I guarantee you the weed in 10 years from now is going to be a lot nicer than the weed we have now, just because the technology will be that much better, but people will just know their facilities that much more. Because we're always just figuring out like little intricacies. Like if you're not constantly improving at your facility, like you probably shouldn't be in this business, because that's like the name of the game. You need to constantly be improving. Yeah. And even like on the sales side too, it's like we're just like throwing stuff at the wall, and if it works, we'll run with it, because like no one's done cannabis sales before, so like we don't know what works and what doesn't, and it's been like a huge learning curve trying to figure that out. It's been a really fun challenge of like, what do people want, like what's gonna push, and it's not obvious too.
Yeah, dude, so you guys are pioneering that. You're trying to figure your way and swerve, and
that's what keeps me in this like industry. Like I love the flower and the weed obviously, but from like a professional perspective, it's like being able to kind of pioneer the craft category of cannabis in Ontario is super exciting, and being able to try to like figure out like what works and what doesn't is like pretty rewarding, but very stressful at the same time, because you don't have your book that you go into, and it's like, oh, this happened, this is what I do. It's like, oh no, we figure this out as we go. Yeah. You're
creating the book.
Which is sick. And I think like you guys are doing the same thing with this podcasting and like social media aspect that you guys are doing for the province of Ontario. Like you guys are kind of pioneering like cannabis web series in Ontario, which is sick.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, like Billy watches your podcast.
That's amazing, man. Wow.
Yeah, we told him we were doing the Touch 11. He's like, oh fuck yeah, I love that. Yeah, so it's you guys definitely have the reach. So it's like, yeah, keep on doing it.
That's amazing. Wow, that's eye opening. Shout out to Billy, man.
Is there anything new that you've been smoking on that you've been enjoying in the market?
Bro, we had the Sherb Head last night by Terp Town Collective.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that shit is just like, I love Sherb, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
But it's like a mango green smoothie. Like,
yeah,
I go get this mango green from like this local spot, bro. Like avocado, spinach, mango, like hemp hearts. Like it's like this like cakey, like thick, like minty, like just, it's so nice, bro. Like mango. It has like myrcene, limonene, linalool.
Okay, I haven't tried any of their stuff, Terptown. I'll have to go for that.
That was the first time I tried some, and I'm very impressed. I didn't like the roll up as much. The cure could have been better, I think.
Yeah,
but other than that, no complaints, man. Like flavor 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, man, I haven't actually opened up a bag of this Case Moores yet. I've like seen it in the Cure Bro. I'd love to open it up right now and to check it out.
Do it.
We did the OZ Kush Cake yesterday, Wes and I, and like we were fucking blown away. So I'm excited to see this one. What's going on here? This is probably like the most exciting thing when we get a new product that comes out, because like we go in the Cure Barrels, we go in the grow rooms, like it already just smells like gas. Like I just crack the thing and it reeks of gas. Like we were doing a facility tour with this and we opened up the Cure Barrel and it was just like offensive gas is kind of the terpene profile. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked on that. Wow, it's got like a nutty like sweetness to it too.
Dude, that's exactly what it is. It's like an almond like an almond like cookie or like an almond, something like that.
Yeah. If you want to crack open one of those buds too, just to get like the real expression of that.
It's like a little like floral too. Like
these are like pretty fresh still. Like this weed was just like came out of Cure not very long ago.
Oh, bro, that's fucking gas. Ooh. Like I just felt like I did a burnout.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick.
Oh man, yeah, it's like a fruity fucking like gas, bro. That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to check this one out too. This is the OZ Kush Cake. So this one's still like, it's got a bit of freshness, but once you bust it up, like the orange. Oh yeah, I really like that. This one I think is out of the two is my favorite. Like as far as my kind of terp profile.
It smells like chai as well. Like it has like a little tea vibe in there.
Sure. If you bust one of those open though, you get like the orange comes out nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's like a herbal orange, like, yeah, that's fire. That's gas.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for both of these. They're both kind of unique profiles.
Yeah, no cap. They are very unique.
And like these ones are coming out in a couple of weeks, and like we already fully cured them, but like I think for them it will be helpful to sit in the bag for a couple of weeks and really like let that profile like really develop in there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I actually, when I get like 14s and stuff like that, and like it's been harvested like maybe like a month or two ago, I let it sit for like another month.
Yeah,
just let it cure.
Often it needs a bit longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think both of these will like develop pretty nicely. Pretty excited about.
Bro, this has been a great conversation, man.
Yeah. Thank you for coming down, man. Yeah, it's been I've been watching this podcast, so it's sick to finally be able to chop it up with you.
Yeah, bro. Like this has been probably, I don't know, man. We have so many great episodes, but every time I feel like this episode is the best episode, you know, every time I do a new one. So it's just been a vibe. It's been a crazy experience, like talking to all these different people like yourself. Like you guys have so much insight on this industry and different perspectives, and bro, just like soaking up the knowledge from you guys has been crazy. So like I feel like I'm just a student of you guys pretty much.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And you're given like a resource for everyone to learn like a lot of information for. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Trying to do what we can for sure. We just want to make sure that we promote the good and highlight what the medicinal value is of the plant, and just showcase that people in this industry aren't like, it's not a drug, you know, like we're not like consuming shit just to like get fried and get high and all this. Like we're actually trying to build something off of this and show people a different light. So
I really like that, man, because I think there's a bad connotation with cannabis that everyone's just trying to get like destroyed. And like I feel like there's a lot of people that just like, you know, like getting a little buzz and like tasting some new flavors, and like it's not about just getting blasted, like it's about enjoying what you're smoking and like feeling
comes
a
with
certain
that
kind of way.
Like the activity that you're doing associated with that. Like you can just get fried and go fishing or some shit like that. Like your experience would be like 10 times better.
I hate the infused category a little bit because I feel like it's just meant for people to just get blasted. And like, how high can I get? And I feel like there's like a portion of the consumer that's just looking to get as high as possible, and they don't give a shit about the different terpene profiles. They're like, which one will get me more stoned?
Yeah, they're just trying to freeze themselves. Like, that's literally what it is. So I mean, it has a place, a time and a place for sure.
For sure.
But like for the most part, it's definitely not like that. Like 95% of people, I would say, like are more like, at least what I've talked to in the industry now, like they're understanding and they want to learn at least. Like they're not just about consuming and getting high. Like even my friends that like I talk to about this, I'm like, yo, like smell this shit. Like what are you getting off of this? Like I'm trying to teach them different smells, different terps, like different effects. Like this is something that I feel like I owe to this industry because I'm just so passionate about it.
For sure. Yeah, and I think like there's a big need for educating everyone, and like there's because you know, like if you're just shopping based on THC and price, like you're not gonna have a good time. Like there's a lot more to it, and obviously there's way too many brands to research and figure that out. So like the bud tender at the end of the day is like our tool. And like I have a couple stores, like I got Cosmic Charlie's down the road here, I got Super Red, I got Alec there, and like I know those guys have tried like most of the products on the menu, and they'll give me the real rundown. And like you need that bud tender or that store owner in your life who's gonna like let you know what's good. It's like I don't have enough money to buy all these.
100%. And they're the only people. Like no one else is gonna tell you the facts. You know, like these people aren't tied to the company. They have no bias. Like, okay, this is fire, this isn't.
And I'm so happy they've let us start sampling. Like for the first like year and a half, we weren't allowed to sample. Well, we weren't technically allowed to sample. We'd figure out ways to do it, but now we're fully like being given the go ahead for educational purposes. But like without them trying the product, like how are they supposed to speak on it? You know? So like I think that's so important. And like I don't want these guys to have to pay like $40 every time to try the product. So I think it's huge getting it in front of them so they can try it.
For sure. Even that gesture of just giving it to them, like that's like a whole different thing. It's like, okay, I just received this like gift from, you know, one of the best in the game. And like I'm able to try it, and I really want to give my feedback to my customers and back to the LP.
Man, it's such a complex thing. Like it's not like alcohol where you kind of, you know, if you drink a beer, you kind of know what you're going to get. If you have a shot, you kind of know what you're going to get.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to get you there.
And it's like and it's like for me personally, like I usually like right now I'm trying to smoke a lot more vapes. So like I have like my dry herb vape that I've been using a lot. Nice. So like I'll smoke a lot of stuff through there. But then I like smoking, if I get a new strain and I want to know how like good it is, I'll usually smoke a joint of it to see how it burns. But if I like were to smoke a bong right now, I don't know what happened. I haven't smoked a bong since I was like, you know, 23 or something like that. So it's like, it's even like the same thing. You could smoke through all these different methods will hit you totally different. So it's so hard to know like how something's going to hit you or what it's going to. So it's like, it's crazy how complex it is. And I'm still figuring out like.
What dry herb do you have?
Fuck. I don't even know. It's like the air. I don't even know the name of it, to be honest. I should, but I don't know the name of it. Nice. Yeah, I'm due to get it something nicer though. I'm definitely in the market. We had a volcano when I was younger. A group of buddies all split on it. So for university, we had a volcano, and I still like dream about getting one. But it's just like, you know, life's expensive. It's expensive living in downtown Toronto. I can't justify buying an $800 vaporizer right now, but one day. You know, dope, but like I definitely, for me, like I do a lot of cardiovascular things. I do a lot of cycling and running and stuff. So for me, like having my lungs in good shape is really important to me. So I try not like, don't get me wrong, like I love smoking a blunt every now and again, like at an event. I love smoking a joint, but I'm trying to actively like smoke a vape more because I do notice it for sure. If I'm like, there'll be like a week where like I was in Ottawa last week, I smoked probably like, you know, like 8 joints in over 2 days, and like I felt it heavy when I was going cycling that weekend. So like I'm trying to stray away from that as much as I can. But I just love flower. Like I think if I was rocking, like if I wasn't repping a flower company, I think I would definitely like dive into the concentrates a bit more. But I just like I want to be on top of the flower game right now, so that's what I'm like diving into.
For sure. No, the concentrates are sick. Like the new ones coming out, like everyone doing their thing.
They're getting better too. Bro. Like obviously, like the OCS hasn't figured out how to store them, so that's not ideal. And like, but I think that's like, I look at myself in 20 years, I'll probably be like just straight dabbing. Like I feel like that's like the cleanest way to smoke. The way, like low temp dabs, like that's the future. And all like the like electronic dab rigs that are coming out now, just make it like so like the Puffcos and stuff. Like that's definitely the future.
Yeah.
Facts. But we have a long way to go there.
Oh shit, I have the same glasses, bro.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, the Mikasa.
Sick. I think we got those as like a gift, dude, or like a housewarming gift, I think.
This is what I pour up my reviews and all the drinks and shit.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's jokes.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been episode 13. Appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate Johnny for letting me come through here and being so hospitable. Thank you for showing off all the new Carmel drops, bro. I'm super excited. I'm sure everybody else is as well.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you coming down, making the effort. It was great chopping it up with you. I'm excited to hear what you think of these, the new gear. And yeah, man, it's a big summer for us. A lot of new products coming out. So pretty stoked to get some new gear in front of everyone.
Let's get it, man.
Awesome.
Bro, I see you around always, everywhere. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing much more of each other in the recent future. So this is definitely not the last one of these ones as well. We're going to make sure we get Johnny on here again. Hopefully we have Parm next time.
For sure. We'll have to get some of the guys from the Grow out. I'd love to do one with Billy or Drew out here.
That would be crazy, bro. Yeah. That would be crazy. Anytime. Awesome, man. All right, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in.
I'm in the big P lady. QP. I love my bitches, it's pretty. They showing their titties, it's up to the ceiling. I let her run through 1 million. I rock with her really. Let's fuck on the